All right. Hello, my friends. It's kind of that late night thing, late night for me anyway. It's a real rough day, man. I didn't get to do a lot of the things I wanted to do. I was supposed to do a let's get ready to grumble over at status quo. Didn't happen. Work got in the way, life got in the way. And so I figured I'd just go ahead and kick it around a little bit tonight before I totally lose my mind because there's things to say. But more importantly, I started thinking about what is sucking the life out of me? And I figured, well, maybe we'll go ahead and see what other people are saying, right? So we can kind of get in the minds and we can kind of see, and maybe I'll riff off of what other people are saying. And so that's what we're going to do tonight. I'm going to go ahead and share my Facebook page just because, man. Why not, right? Why not? Why the hell not? So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And it's just going to be Facebook. Facebook, this wonderful little shithole of a place, as I'm sure you guys have experienced it before. I'm sure it's pretty much the same story for everyone. Pretty hard to see with this big ass monitor of mine, isn't it? This monitor makes it look like elves live in there, little tiny people. I wonder what happens if I make it big. Nope, it doesn't even work then, does it? Well, let's go ahead and do it anyway. I'm going to see what I can do. Maybe I can put it this way. Maybe that does it. Nope, that doesn't even do it either. It's no fun. You can't see what I'm seeing if we do it this way. And I don't quite know how to shrink that down. This is a problem, but let's see what I can do. Maybe I can make it really, really fucking big. I don't know. Will it help? We'll find out. Let's see. Does this change your view? Does it? A little bit. A little bit. I think we got a little bit of a change there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of scroll through here real quickly. And anybody that's on here, my bad. So we'll just skip past some of this, but I want to get to the groups because the groups are where everybody starts really, really making the foolishness of themselves. Now, if I can find this, let's see, is it in here? There we go. Let's go to groups and let's see if we can find some MMT. Okay. Yeah, we can go past that. But what I think is funny, is we go into these groups and we look around and look at that Meshuggah. Go in here and look at these groups, and unfortunately, there's just a lot of people that just take up a lot of time and don't really do a lot, don't really say a lot. That's the sneeze of the century right there. But what I want to do, let me see if I can find an Alexandria Ocasio Cortez group because this is kind of where all the action is, right? This is where the people go when they really want to be around other people that they like and so forth. And let's see what happens when we go in here. Let's see what kinds of posts we have. Wow, look at that. There's a post in there with that. We got another RP post in there. What do you know? Come on, there's got to be. Where are you? Maybe it's under here. Maybe we can find it under here. No, 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 no. This stuff is fun, sort of, until you realize how hard it is to actually get through any of this stuff. Let's just go in here. I'm sure somebody's complained about this stuff already, so it'll probably be pretty easy to find. Let's see. Where are you people that tend to say really dumb things? You got to be around here somewhere. Well, it's me. I guess I say some pretty dumb things. Come on. Here we go. Here we go. Let's go. Let's go here. So this, my friends, is my favorite. When you start looking at these people, this is where it starts getting really fun. So what is nice actually is when you start looking at comments, you see right off the bat, I will pay higher taxes so my fellow citizens can have universal health care. Carmen Munoz, give her credit. Federal taxes are deleted upon receipt, never ever pay for anything else ever again. It's known as the death of the dollar in operational monetary policy. Congress is who issues all the currency for payment and expenditures once approved by appropriations. This is known as the birth of the dollar. I've heard that before somewhere. Only state and local taxes are reused because states are currency users. Wow, somebody else gets this. The federal government is the sole currency issuer. Therein lies the difference. There is no need for anyone to give any revenue to the federal government because it doesn't need it. America's monetarily sovereign nation. Wow, check this out. Wrote a book. Fiat currency, it can never go broke. However, our corrupt leadership lies and pushes false scarcity and austerity to force people further into private borrowing and into greedy hands of Wall Street, and to keep people desperate via false scarcity, which controls them, making them grateful and willing slaves to the neoliberal owners of our corrupt government. Watch this. Where Grumbine will give you a love, because that's a hell of a comment. Look at this. Wow, I think we got some people that know what the hell they're talking about. Maybe this isn't the best place to be showing it because getting all these good comments. Professor Yeva Narcissian explains how Medicare for All would have been deflationary, the effect on the economy, thus require lower taxes rather than higher taxes. Check this out. So we're going to give that a love. Oh my God. We got another one. RJ Humble. If you understand MMT, you would know that taxes don't fund federal spending. Therefore, Medicare for All doesn't need your taxes because Congress already has the authority to spend, power of the purse on any, let's see what else he says, on any bill that's passed and enacted. If anything, if you consider the high premiums that we pay to private health insurance companies to be a tax, then implementing Medicare for All would essentially be a tax cut by virtue of cutting out all the private middlemen. I'm not saying that part. Anyway, Jennifer Lombardi, we don't need to pay more taxes at the federal level to have a universal health care. We have a fiat currency nation, so our federal government can and does fund whatever they want. We just need to make them want to fund it. Roger Hoffman, I think this is a bad message and idea. We needn't raise individual taxes, certainly not on the middle and poor classes, to fund healthcare. The U.S. spends, oh, here we go. The U.S. spends more on so-called defense than do the next 10 or more nations combined. It's by far the largest chunk of the discretionary spending. Here we go. Here we go. We got a live one. The annual spending bills for this are already above 3-4 trillion and will soon $750 billion and will soon hit 1 trillion. That's one reason Congress won't pass universal single payer Medicare for all. The other is because there are many owned by the private health industry. Okay. Insurance lobby and big pharma. And lastly, of course, the tax system favors the further concentration of capital at the top. Whoever wrote this meme seems woefully unaware for this, and proposing new universal tax is one surefire way to kill support for it. Perhaps this is in fact the intent. He didn't quite fully understand everything, but I'm going to go ahead and give it a little love because he didn't say taxes fund spending. So they're going to go there. But here it is. What's out of hand is the fact that so many people don't understand the federal government doesn't use our tax dollars. Yes, give you some love. But we're going to start getting into the cuckoo for coconut stuff. You're beyond naive if you honestly think the government will ever use higher taxes for universal health care and not the military industrial complex, or send it out in the form of military aid for some random country to fight their war. Oh my God. Oh my God. Let Wicker Stumberg Seth. Oh my effing God. Oh my God. See, you get this thing. They would clearly spend money on military machine. There's no question about that. And they will clearly provide aid when it works to the benefit of the neoliberal class, but it has nothing to do with taxes, right? And let's see what the comment is here. Or for research, for some surveillance so they can control what you do. Also, once government is control of your healthcare, be prepared to be without it if the government doesn't like what you're doing. Oh my goodness, here we go. And decides to cut you off the plan consequently. Now that's an extremely enlightened comment. Like, I mean, you feel kind of edgy just listening to that, right? I mean, that's kind of like the crazy shit. but we're going to go ahead and talk about it anyway. I mean, the idea that the government is going, if they don't like what you're doing, we don't even know what this looks like. This sounds a whole lot like projecting out on insurance companies, doesn't it? It sure doesn't sound like just government. Government is, captured right now, folks. So let's not confuse government. Let's confuse what we have today, which is a neoliberal shitstorm of people that are planted by people. That's the deep state. They've been working there forever and they never leave because they've got a paycheck that comes as part of the government body. Oh, goodness gracious. More cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And Jennifer Lombardi, give her credit. She's out there doing the do. Let's give her some love. Seth, the federal government doesn't use our taxes to fund anything. So if they did raise the federal tax, it would go toward any projects whatsoever. Tax dollars are destroyed upon receipt. And the crowd goes absolutely flipping wild. Let's give some applause. He deserves it. Absolutely deserves some applause. So let's scroll down here some more. Let's see. Oh, man, 6 of 350. We're going to get into some cuckoo for Cocoa Puff stuff here. Scandinavian companies thrive paying higher taxes. You really should try it. Let's give him a laugh. Because, see, that whole thing of correlation, causation, and correlation, not one and the same. The idea of higher taxes. I mean, this is like this weird fetish, isn't it? Robin Zimmerly. I'm ready to pay more taxes. You should really try it. It's pretty freaking awesome. I wouldn't even consider going back. Haven't returned since I left 15 years ago. Okay. Their monetary system is different. Higher state and local taxes, sure, but the federal government can fund whatever is needed now without raising taxes. Hey, what do you know? Let's give her some more love. Shoot, man, this is great to see so many MMT folks out there disabusing people of nonsense. Chelsea Meckel, some of us don't want that crap. I'll keep my private health care, thanks. I want you all to understand, this is an Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez group. This is a leftist group. Look at this shit stain right here. Oh my God, hold on, see, look at this, former political communication consultant, studied political and really Texas state, say no more, moving on. Jennifer Lombardi, right there, cracking a whip. Why? They already rape you, I guess. Impede pepper care. Pepper care? I don't know. By limiting what doctors can do to treat you. Oy vey. Oh, Mark Collins, tax the bads, not the goods. Non-productive real estate's bad. Stock buybacks very bad. Unemployment is very bad. It needs to be eliminated through a countercyclical federal job guarantee program that pays a cost of living wage, yet is administered locally. Sounds pretty good to me. Wages and goods should never be taxed. At the federal level, taxes do not fund spending, so the federal government should fund the states with only one criteria: best practices for the general welfare of the nation. Eliminate all state taxes and eliminate competition between the states for resources. I actually like that. I think you could probably do something with that. Let's see who's laughing at him. There's got to be some butt cheese laughing at him. Yeah, see, look at these fools. Neo-Maxi Zinjweeby, wastes of a sperm and an egg. J.D. Tharp and John Stokes. Jesus Christ, man, your parents did a mistake letting you out the tube. Wow, look at it, laughing at something that brilliant. What fuckwits. It's a minimum tax, so put up put up or shut up. Fact is, you can do that now, but seek to force what you do not want on others. Morally bankrupt hypocrites. Oh, just a fool. I gotta laugh at him. Josh Daniel, hold up. Let me fix that for you. I will pay higher taxes so my government can spend even more money and still live their best life. There you go. Look at this, 14 likes. We're going to laugh at him. Excuse me, 47 fucking likes, guys. 47 fucking likes for that bullshit right there. That fucking moronic, dumb fuck comment got 47 likes. Oh my God. Very negative and counterproductive. No wonder Texas is the mess that it is. Sheriff Josh knows there's no such person as the government. It's just people. Some agree with you, some don't. Of course, it's always easier to dehumanize your opponents. Well, when they're from Texas, it really is easy to dehumanize them, isn't it? Joshy Boy will instead pay even higher taxes to subsidize the rich and the war machine that will likely consume his progeny. Oh my. You are aware this is a Pennsylvania page, not a Virginia page. Oy vey. Josh Daniel. Oh, yeah, completely out of my control. I just think higher taxes for universal health care is a bad move. You ask the question, where's all that money going? They'll say universal health care, of course. Let's laugh at them. They're deleted. Taxes in Texas are ridiculous. Who needs 3 forms of tags for one vehicle? Oh, my. We're talking about some really, really highbrow stuff there, folks. Jeremy Grissom. Texas is awesome. It's California that's the shithole. Oh, my God. How did these people get in here? So let's keep on going. That's not how MMT works. Also, any spending or saving on someone's life through modern healthcare is inherently moral. Okay, whatever. Why not? I don't know what that means. I'm just going to skip that. I don't know what he's trying to say. It sounds like gibberish. Even if it was good, it still sounds like gibberish. Tax don't pay for anything on the federal level. They serve a number of other purposes. They're deleted upon receipt. Functionally, they cannot pay for anything except on local or state level. Single payer healthcare to be real, it takes congressional appropriations to power the purse. The government must spend first. Let's give that some love. Goodness gracious, look at all the love. Goodness, no need. Yes, no need to pay federal taxes for anyone to have universal health care. Taxes do not pay for things like universal health care. It's a myth, but believing it gives power to the right wing and reduces the probability of providing universal health care. He's right. I hope you're talking to the rich who don't pay taxes. We got to give a laugh there. Um, who should pay what? President Biden said today, while congressional Republicans are proposing big tax increases on middle class families, I'm fighting for tax cuts for the middle class to ensure the super wealthy and large corporations pay their fair share. Sadly, I'm afraid that these people are probably people I don't agree with, but I'm going to lend a hand here. I'm going to smile at this too, because quite frankly, I'm just so tired of hearing that nonsense. Congressional Budget Office estimates show that when benefits are included, the lowest income 60% of Americans are net beneficiaries, receiving more in social insurance. Folks, I mean, this is just ridiculous. No, no, no. You pay those taxes. Oh my. Those taxes become middle class taxes, and the prices of everything goes up. I'm good. Handouts hurt workers. Jesus Christ. Taxes are on everybody. If you want to pay for everyone's health care with your own money, go right ahead. What a fool. I'm going to reply to this person. How about we simply use the public money that isn't taxes at all? Sounds like sounds like maybe you should learn how federal finance works. Dot hashtag learn fuck discover learn MMT and shabop shaboom. Let's see. Because the same politicians in Washington who polarize every debate and only care about the good of their party and who can't balance a budget, I got to laugh at them, balance a budget, and who only care about being reelected should be trusted to spend your cash. Battlestar Buffoonicus. Taxes literally do not fund any of these programs. Literally, when the federal government imposes a tax and collects it, it functionally destroys currency, deletes it. Deletes it. Poof, gone. Shreds. Let's spell correctly. Functionally. Let's go ahead and fix that. Let's go ahead and fix this. And look at this. They're trying to tell me, no, it really does. Taxes literally does not. No, taxes literally do not impose tax. Deletes it. Poof, gone. Shreds. Congress always spends money into existence and taxes it out. It is a currency issuer. I can type. I don't know, folks. Let me ask you while I'm doing this. I mean, seriously, there's a part of me that every time I read these things, man, I lose brain cells. I figure, what is it, like the year 2022? And how do people not know these things? I mean, I really don't quite understand how people Battlestar Buffoonicus instead of Galactica, it's Battlestar Buffoonicus. Um, but I mean, straight up, I mean, literally, it's like oof, when you read this stuff, I just think to myself, there, but by the grace of God, go I. But I've spent so many brain cells learning this shit that I wonder, gosh, is there a trade-off, man? My sanity, and I could just run around yelling at people, telling them, I'll pay more for health care, for another person. I'm happy to pay higher taxes. And the more you hear it, the more you realize how fucked we are, man, because, it's not just a matter of, yeah, nobody wants to pay taxes. Nobody wants to pay more in taxes. Anybody says they do is fucking lying to you. But it's really about the limiting factor. It's really about the paradigm we're talking about, right? I mean, the paradigm that somehow or another, this massive government is constrained by you paying your fair share. It can't do anything until you pay your fair share. Just doesn't measure up. I mean, what was your fair share in the billions it sent to Ukraine? Really, what was your fair share of, tax cuts for the wealthy? What was your fair share for, you know, I mean, you just start hearing that, you just start, kind of just getting grossed out. You know what I mean? You just start going, what the fuck am I listening to? I don't know. So let's go back. I mean, this is kind of fun. This is fun. I'm not gonna lie. I'm having fun. So let's go back through this some more. Uh then you pay my taxes too, and I won't pay any taxes. It's almost like it'd be better if nobody paid taxes and people could donate their money to whatever they wanted to. Or, hear me out, people could keep their damn money and do whatever they want to with it. It's called freedom. Is it fair? Nope. But isn't supposed to be. That's how it works under your plan. Everyone ends up suffering. Under my plan, very small percentage suffer. People are suffering so bad right now that obesity is a bigger problem than starvation by a lot. Most of our poor are overweight and have smartphones. Thank God for capitalism, or they'd be eating dogs and zoo animals like everyone had to in Venezuela. Take your higher taxes and shove it. Jesus Christ. I'm seriously, like, this is the poster child. This here, let me get back to this for a second. That dude is the poster child for abortion. Like, if anybody ever should have been like cut off at the knees before they came out to shoot, Homeboy Bonanza should have been the poster child. I mean, there's no reason for that guy to be around on social media saying that shit. But this is what we're up against. This is what we're up against. Where's your hope in that? I mean, seriously, this is the kind of insanity we're up against. Seriously, we should memorialize this guy. I mean, Zach Martin. Look at that. Good ideas. Automation specialist at Kanawha Scale Systems. I mean, I don't want to dox him. The intent is not to do that, but you see this and you just laugh, and it's time to school this fucker. Hey, hey, homeboy bonanza. I mean, let's go. It would appear that you may be dull as a spoon trying to carve turkey. Turkey with, guess what it's going to be? With a plastic spork. Yes, you will forever be dubbed Sporky. So let's go ahead and just keep ragging on Zach for a few minutes. Ultimately, you have been snowed just like the feel good, misguided fools that want to raise taxes on this. Taxes literally do not fund spending. They are functionally deleted, and therefore rubes and Dems should be able to stop the nonsense and simply fucking agree to give each other health care. Self, I hate this fucking keyboard. Self funding taxes drive the need for currency, but are never used to pay for anything at the federal level. Pretend mother bleeper. Oh, I hate typing, guys. This is why I use my phone. I'm so much better at phones than this. Nope, sporky's a word. Just trust me. Pretend you are not a fascist. And simply are a human being. Mock the folks that want to raise taxes. Oh, I despise this. The folks that want to raise taxes, but let's save lives. No need for you to pay higher taxes. Let's use public money instead of funneling it. It to the wealthy. There we go. Sorry, that's a lot, man. Only someone with the intelligence of a 6-month dog, the math skills of a first grader, living in their parents' basement would ever think this is a good idea. Ha ha ha. Freaking fantastic example of the power of propaganda here. So many violently opposing the improvement of their own healthcare. Yes, your taxes would go up and your copays and payments for insurance would now be eliminated as well as the insurers. Oh my God. I'm not going to touch that one because he's sort of, we have healthcare in Denmark. It works. Most people are against paying taxes to help others, but they're all in for childless couples paying taxes to go to schools. Oh my God. I'm too I too am willing to pay higher taxes so everyone can have universal health care. And I'm not a rich person. Oh my God. I'm not okay with paying higher taxes. Speak for yourselves. Look at this. I mean, seriously, folks, that's fine, but it's ignoring the real issue. The medical industry, the pharmaceutical industry, and the insurance companies need to be held accountable for the obscene prices they charge. Okay, I buy that to a degree. If the government is writing them a blank check with government provided health care, they are already able to bleed the American people dry as it is. So I don't know. There's probably more of these out there. I mean, let me ask you guys a question. I know I ain't share my screen. You guys trust me when I say this. Let me show you this. I mean, it's ridiculous. Do you see it now? Are you seeing my screen now? I'm so sorry. My bad. I am so sorry. I'm just reading the shit off, you know? I mean, yeah. let me ask you seriously. Let me get back to this again. What do you say? You know, I've gone around telling everybody tax stuff on spending. It seemed to work for an awful lot of people back in 2015 and 2016. I was animated. I was screaming at the camera. People listened to me. People said, "What the fuck's this guy all about?" Now, some people got a case of the ass, and I don't give a fuck about them. They're bad people, in my opinion, because I had a reason for what I was doing. I was grabbing people's attention, and it worked. Some people didn't like that. They decided they were going to start their own band. I'm going to leave the band, and I'm going to start my own band. Yeah, I'm just fuck him, man. He's a bad, fuck him, you know. But the fact is that back in the day, we were dropping napalm out there. We weren't like pinky out, you know. Oh, well, actually, let me tell you of the accounting identities. No, we're fucking talking straightforward. We're like, fuck that shit, right? Seriously. And we were like, guys, Republicans don't want their taxes to go up, period. They're going to fight you every step along the way, period. They're going to fight you. Democrats are going to fight you. Do you understand? Everyone is going to fight you. There's a handful of, they think they're high roading you. I'd pay more in taxes. And you see, every one of them's fucked out of their mind. Republicans are right in the sense that, hey, I don't want to pay more taxes for this shit. Well, it's because life is so shitty. Wages have not gone up at all. So can you really blame them for not wanting their taxes to go up? Forget the fact that they're fucking narcissistic, evil sons of bitches that would let people die. Forget that part for just a minute. We'll get back to that in a second. But do you remember how I used to talk about what a Republican was like and what libertarians are like and what they care about? Most of the people have decided to grab hold of the reins. Yeah, Steve didn't know what he was talking about. His style, didn't like his style, whatever. You know what I mean? Really hardcore one of those, right? Double that. Um, but my style, if you will, I likened it to taking dynamite into a lake, throwing the dynamite into the lake and watching all the fish rise to the top and letting all the betas, letting all the introverts, letting all the gentlemen's club ride around with their net, scooping them up and go, "Oh, he was such a meanie. Steve was such a meanie, you know. But let me tell you, he was mean, but he was right. I hate to say he was right, but he was right. Taxes really don't fund spending, you know. Taxes really don't fund spending. We're going to go ahead and start our own media channel about MMT because Steve was mean and we didn't like it. So now we're going to make it so fucking bland, so fucking vanilla that we can put the whole world to sleep. But you know what? Fucking ice shelves are melting, right? Ice shelves are fucking melting. And I talk about this with healthcare. You got to be a project manager. And if you're not one, you should shut your fucking mouth unless you want to learn. Pretty simple, right? Pretty fucking simple. Shut your fucking mouth if you don't understand this. I'm not competing with you. I'm just telling you straight up. When you look at a Gantt chart is a way of looking at these bars like a timeline. And you got different tasks, different things, and it shows how long each one of them takes and shows which one has to be done first, second, and third so you can see which are dependent on one another. Now, if you've got climate change going on right here, right now, I'm talking about like the kind of shit that's going to cause droughts, it's going to cause famine, it's going to cause tsunamis, it's going to cause hurricanes, tornadoes, climate migrants, wars, because, water wars, things like that. People that were once in a really, really nice agricultural zone are no longer there and they lose their food sovereignty because they can't grow it. Now they got to move up, and now all of a sudden Hindus are mixing with freaking Muslims. They don't like each other, and now we got war and they got nuclear shit, that kind of thing, right? That kind of thing. Well, when that kind of existential crisis kicks in, and the IPCC says 4 years ago that, oh, by the way, we got 12 years. 12 years. 12 fucking years to get the shit right. Well, that was 4 years ago, so we're looking at like less than 8 now, right? Less than 8. And now you see the latest IPCC report talks about how there's a window from 2020 to 2025. Well, problem is that the peak of our carbon emissions hit in 2020. But because of the pandemic, scientists and politicians couldn't agree on the language for saying, hey, the event horizon's already happened. So they put out this block of 5 years. Well, naturally, what does every Tom, Dick, and Harry do? They think, oh, well, we've got until 2025 to get our shit together. Wrong. It was already at peak at 2020. So the timeline is shrinking because we're consuming so much and so much is out of control that window is just compressing. To keep it below 1.5 degrees centigrade. I mean, this Celsius, this is exactly the kind of timeline. The clock is ticking, tick, 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 ticking. And it's ticking with physics. And as I've said a bazillion times, it's not my quote. Okay, Bill McKibben said it. But physics doesn't negotiate. Greta Thunberg said it too. Physics doesn't negotiate. So if you've got this window of 8 years to get this climate shit down, and we haven't done anything, it's getting worse, right? It's getting worse. And then you say, oh, but we want to focus on healthcare. Okay. And we want to focus what? On student debt relief? Okay. Yeah, it's important because we got to end poverty to make sure everybody can kind of participate. But we want to do healthcare. But the jokers that are rallying the troops because they got the special hats are telling you they want to do it state by state. They want to do it state by state? Okay, let's look at the timeline. So you got California, you've got Washington, you've got New York. I'm sure there's some other shithole out there that wants to try and do this too. But ultimately, each one of those have a timeline, a trajectory. California tried to get their bill up. They couldn't even get the sponsor to sign off on putting it up for a vote here. You understand? California couldn't even get it up on the thing for a fucking vote. All right. But more importantly, let's just say timelines weren't the issue. States are currency users, right? That means they don't create their own money. That means they got to rely heavily on taxes. Well, do I need to go back? Let's go back. Let's go back and share, just for shits and grins, some of the stuff that the people outside of our echo chamber say. Okay? Let's talk about some of the things that they say outside the echo chamber. Right here. That's fine, but it's ignoring the real issue. No, let's get back up here. Where's this guy? Did I miss him? Did I lose him? Sure as how they will. The government is writing a blank check, blah, blah, blah. Increasing your taxes, healthcare offset for the fact you won't be paying premiums. Here it goes. I will not, because I will not force anyone to have something they don't want. Healthcare is a service, not a right. Is it expensive? Yes, likely because government is involved. Oh my God. Universal healthcare is lit, in my opinion, but frankly, I don't buy the notion we aren't already paying our government enough in taxes to enable it. You know what? I don't think Rositas understands this. I'm going to read this again. I don't think he really fully understands what he's saying there, but I'm going to give it a like because they're not far off. Universal healthcare is lit, in my opinion, but frankly, I don't buy the notion we aren't already paying enough for our government in taxes to enable it. Spot on. Taxes don't fund spending. Taxes don't fund spending. Oh, let me make sure I say federal. Federal taxes don't, no, we don't, don't fund spending. Um, and ultimately, this is a deflationary bill program. Let's call it a program. It actually makes the efficiency and the layoffs require a tax cut. Now, how many people do you think are going to know what the fuck I'm talking about there? Let me give them a hashtag learn MMT so somebody can say something stupid. If you want them, then cool, but don't force people to pay more for something they don't want. That's slavery. I gotta laugh at that shit. Oh my. I'm just gonna say learn MMT. No point in giving that person more. Anybody breaks out slavery, then go ahead. Nobody is stopping you. Look, another fucking LOL libertarian. And look at this. We do it voluntarily. Don't force others to do so. Okay, so coming back to this, you realize that a vast majority of your people, your friends, your neighbors, your fellow citizens in your community don't want to pay more in taxes. And in a largely divided country where it's largely 50-50 or damn near, and people are so conditioned to the idea that they're going to have to pay more in taxes for you to have these services, and pumping out these kind of memes where it's like, I'm willing to pay more, it immediately is the death knell for the entire thing. Okay. It's the death knell. Now, if you want to coddle those people, and if you want to go with the gentleman's club saying it all sweet and nice, and you want to ignore the timeline that I'm talking to you about, remember, 4 years ago, it was 12 years. We're at 8 years, and it's even less than that. We got ice shelves melting, tsunamis begging to come our way, algae blooms, shark attacks, drought, fires, you name it, natural disasters out the ass, poverty, all the above. Then, yeah, sure. Go ahead and keep doing it. Just well, we've got to be nice and sweet. No, what we have to do, seriously, is we have to drop fucking dynamite into the lake, and we'll let the betas sweep them out with a fucking net. They can nurse them back to health, and they can explain what happened. But I'm telling you right now, we don't have time for the patty cake club. We don't have time for that. We just don't. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Have you seen, let me ask you, for all the hype, Stephanie Kelton's book, New York Times bestseller, a lot of people definitely have heard of MMT. However, all those same shit fucks, all those same worthless people that write for the mainstream media that most of these people consume, every useless shit stain of a media personality on television, and 9/10 of our alternative media. Ignore this, don't want to learn it, lie about it. And that's what the rest of America. So, all in all, Stephanie Kelton's book went New York Times bestseller, and we still don't have healthcare. We still don't have a Green New Deal. We don't even have Medicare for all up for a vote. We've got chuckleheads going around saying that all the states can do it. I want you to understand something. 26 states out of 50 have ballot initiatives. 26, that's it. Of those 26 states, most of them, many of them, I should say, are very heavily Republican. And when you think about people stranded in states that are just slightly red, you're fucked. Or you think about states where you're in a centrist blue that's basically red, you're fucked. Okay. So what are you going to do? You do state by state. Folks, remember timelines, right? I haven't even explained the most important part of this yet. The Green New Deal that Fadl Kaboom talks about with the layer cake. It's got a just transition for dirty jobs so that the coal miners and stuff, although I know it's tradition. Pappy done did coal mines. I done did the coal mines. It's in my blood. Coal's in my blood, right? It's going to be hard to dislodge them from loving the thing that their entire families did. I know for a fact that I worked at Ma Bell. I started at CMP Telephone Company in 1993. My mom and dad both retired from there. My dad retired when it was CMP. My mom retired when it was Bell. Actually, my mom stuck around through it becoming Verizon, and she left, I believe, right before the merger with MCI, and it became Verizon Business on the one side. So both my parents were Bellheads, and I was a Bellhead, and it was a big deal. But in 2009, with the great global financial crisis, I ended up losing a 17-year career. Now, part of that was my own ignorance. I raised my hand when they asked for people on a RIF list. I didn't think they'd take me up on it, because who the hell's going to take a guy that's got 2 master's degrees and a fucking butt ton of certifications and put him on the streets? Well, they put me on the streets with 10,000 other people. It wasn't personal. They were laying people off. Okay. But the fact is that I didn't want to let go of Ma Bell. So this whole state by state approach thing, I want you to know something. There is only 18 states in the United States, out of 50, mind you, 18, that have legal marijuana. Think about that for a minute. 18. Everybody says, well, look at marijuana. It works so well. 18, folks. 18. 18 states. And let me ask you a question. Is Colorado, people in Colorado, working overtime to make recreational marijuana legal in the state of Pennsylvania? I got time. No, I don't. Fuck no. They're not. They're done. They got their weed. They're smoking it up. They're enjoying a bowl. They're done. They're out of it, man. They're not even thinking about it anymore. You get what I'm saying? All this lie. And if you give these people airtime, if you give them credit for their bullshit ideas, and you don't push back, just remember what I'm telling you here. Anytime, I'm willing to debate anybody. But I'm going to be shitty about it now, because I'm tired of being fucking shot at without people actually listening to the content of my message. I don't give a flying fuck if you like my style. I'm not joking. I could give a fuck. I'm right, and I'm trying desperately to save people's lives, my own children. So you know what? Fuck you if you don't like that. I'm fighting for them the best way I know how. It's to make as much fucking noise as possible. It's to get people to listen. And if people ignore me, hey, it just tells me you're not interested in actually getting people to understand this stuff. I've been somebody's boogeyman for as long as I can remember. I don't want to be. I'd rather be everybody's buddy. But if I have to be the boogeyman, be the fucking boogeyman. I want people to live. It's a heavy fucking price to pay, believe me, because I'm trolled, I'm doxxed, I'm treated like shit, I'm excommunicated, I'm treated like I don't know my ass from my elbow, when I assure you I fucking do. But you know what? Here's the deal. That time is ticking. And so while you got Johnny come latelys and Johnny happy people out there selling you this bill of goods, selling you that bill of goods right there, every fucking time somebody puts this shit up there, somebody dies. That's the way I think of it. It's probably not just somebody, it's probably tens of people die every time one of these asshole things go up there. And everybody wants to say, oh, they mean well, they mean well, blah, blah, blah. But the fact of the matter is that it doesn't matter whether they mean well. Functionally, they're killing us. Functionally, they're making it impossible for us to get Medicare for all, universal health care, or whatever. They don't even realize it. They don't even realize what they're doing. Okay? So, getting back to it, timelines again. You have to look at what's going to kill you first. And what's going to kill us first is the climate. We've been talking about this for 20, 30, 40 years. Climate change is happening. Climate change is happening. Well, we're at a point now where we're losing ice like crazy. Important ice. Number one, that keeps ocean levels at a certain point, but also that prevents certain other things coming out. Just imagine some of the viruses trapped deep in the permafrost as it melts and comes back to life. Imagine some of those things coming back and us trying to figure out how to survive a pandemic without healthcare. Or if you think about this, in World War II, what did they have? They had this thing called the Marshall Plan. Okay. The Marshall Plan basically put all energies, all mobilizations toward the war machine. Okay. Well, you got to consider climate change a war. It's a global war. It's a war that we're all supposed to be fighting the devil, which is carbon emissions, which is basically man-made climate change. And if we're busy fighting wars against each other, that is hugely putting massive carbon back into the environment. I mean, I hate to be crass about this, but that war over there is costing us a hell of a lot more than $1 billion in money. Fuck the money. The money's nothing. It's really about, what are you doing to the fucking planet? How do we get out of your mess that you've created? You know what I'm saying? And we just can't get out of our own way. Now, somebody asked me, and it's a very good point. I just want to say this for the record. Somebody asked me point blank, "Oh my God, I see what you're saying now. What do I do? What could I possibly do?" And my response was simple. We have to teach people. We don't have enough people that understand this stuff. So groups like Real Progressives and Real Progress in Action stuff have to be fucking out there beating the streets talking to people about this stuff. That's number one. We got to be holding teachings. We got to be reading together. We got to do something so we can build up knowledge. And then we've got to link up with other groups doing the same thing. It'd be great if Real Progressives and Real Progress in Action had chapters across the country to do this, right? That's Steve's plan. It's been my plan for 7 years. Has it happened? No. Is it because I'm not a good project manager? Probably. Is it because people don't listen to me? Most fucking definitely. Is it going to kill our kids? Possibly. Is it going to cause irreparable harm to the climate that we haven't done the chapters yet? Yes, I believe 100% that is a burden that I'll carry to my grave if we don't get this up and running. I'll forever know I could have. I knew I had the plan and wasn't able to execute. And that will always make me feel like I failed my children. So that right there, folks, is the burden that I carry because I haven't been able to make anybody stay focused long enough. They come in, they become part of it, they bounce away. Everything's more important, whatever. And it's like, I don't know how to make it fucking important enough for people to stop pulling bullshit and focus and do this. But that's my problem. That's my cross to bear, right? I guess I just can't fucking do it. I don't know. I wish I could. I hope I can. I'm trying. I just seem to be striking out. I seem to not be able to pull it off for whatever reason. It's a damn shame. It's a goddamn shame. But when you think about it, you teach each other, you unite with each other, you take into areas that are not taught together as a unit and bring this knowledge into foreign territory, hostile territory, territory of the uninformed, the unconvinced, the unschooled, the uneducated, and you bring them into the fold, as many as you can. And then you organize out in the streets, just like you would for Black Lives Matter, or just like you would for climate change, just like you would for anything else. The difference is that you're taking the understanding of the economic system and you're showing people that you're being lied to, that we could do all these things. We could do all these things. Every one of them, we could do them yesterday. We could do it all right now. We really could. But we've got a lot of people that are very sympathetic to the Democratic Party, that toe the line, that no matter how bad, no matter how many fucking neoliberal ideas they come up with, they still toe the line because they want to be good party insiders. They want to still retain their place in the pecking order. All I can think of is this. What we need is not necessarily candidates that are going to be lifetime candidates. We need candidates that maybe aren't even interested in winning. We need candidates that are willing to go in front of large audiences and say the important things that need to be said, not cowards, not playing politics. Be willing to lose your seat. Do it intentionally. I would help fund candidates that are willing to go up there and really lay it on the line, not toe the line. See, unfortunately, though, you get all these fucking just, I don't know if they're dumb people or fucking assholes or what, but these people that are always making excuses when Democrats toe the line. I accept that we have a duopoly. I accept that. I hate it. We need to change it, but it's a lot more than just wanting it to change. It requires a lot, okay? It even kind of requires people in the duopoly to kind of help out. And getting people in there is a challenge enough, right? So wouldn't it be better to be like the Julian Assange? Know that you're going to just be exposing shit when you go up there on the stage to debate, and not sit there and just try to play the line and party line and stuff. Really go in there expecting that if you do get elected, you're going to be a one-term person. And if you get a second term, good for you. But that's the only way to fight the machine. And everybody wants to, oh no, they couldn't possibly have enough power to do that. They would be run out. What do you want to do? Get rid of the few people that actually, what are the few people in there doing for us right now? Honestly, right now, the thing we need most is people exposing the rest of the world, the rest of the country to these facts. Because when it's spoken on the big stage, people listen. Not everybody, but more people do, right? That's why we go live for 37 people right now. That's why we go live for 500 people. But I am sick to death of people making excuses for people that know better but don't do better. I mean, the drop on Ro Khanna, people want to talk to him about Medicare. He knows about the deficit myth. Guess what? He's read the deficit myth. He knows Stephanie Kelton. Guess what he does? Second he gets on TV, what does he do? Talks about progressive taxes to pay for Medicare for all or whatever. No joke. It would be better, given the timeline that I keep talking to you about, for us to drop napalm out there, for us to really, really set the world afire and explain to people taxes don't fund fucking spending. Stop lying to us. Stop gaslighting us. And mean it. Fucking accept the loss, because it's not a loss, it's a win. You've got to redefine what winning looks like. Winning doesn't necessarily, and see, I tried to say this during Trump part 2 when he was running against Biden. Sometimes when you win, you lose. And sometimes when you lose, you win. It sounds like some like weird little thing, but I'm promising you. Sometimes it's better to be on the outside looking in and uniting against a common foe than to being divided by a fake friend. Okay? It doesn't feel like it because we're all in this weird little immediacy. But because we keep delaying that, ripping that band-aid off and really being aggressive and really not playing the pinky out crowd, because we keep trying to stay forever. We want to be Congress critters forever. We want these things forever. We don't want to lose our place in line. People will say a comfortable lie just to stay in the crowd. They'll be gentlemen, gentlewomen with people just to stay in the crowd. And we're at a point now where it's like, we don't have time for that shit. You know? We don't have time for it. I'm telling you, be a project manager. Timelines, folks. Dependencies. So let's talk about the Green New Deal for a minute. I was going to do this when I was supposed to do my Let's Get Ready to Grumble on Status Quo today. Just couldn't pull it off. Jordan, if you're listening, I doubt you are, but if you're listening, sorry, I couldn't do it, man. Work was insane. But I'm trying desperately to get this message out to people. Fadl Kaboom talks about a layer cake. That layer cake is so important. To be able to have a Green New Deal, you are going to be eliminating huge amounts of jobs. You need a job guarantee. You need a just transition where that high wage that they were making in their dirty, polluting job goes with them so that they're made whole, so that they're willing to let the past go. We need to invest and we need to educate. We need to help them along. But we also need a job guarantee too for all those insurance workers and stuff that will be let go. But we need to be able to have local jobs for people to serve those people in the local communities, not just give them cash. Folks, do you find it humorous or is it just me? The same morons that are whining about printing money and creating inflation are typically the same morons talking about having a UBI as well. You ever notice that? I don't know why that kind of weird psychotic break, that mental break of not understanding, but they don't. But anyway, Green New Deal requires a stack of things. We got to get off of fossil fuels. Sure. We've got to have high-speed rail and sustainable cities so that we're not building unsustainable things. We need to improve our energy grid and our electric grid and everything else about our infrastructure from plumbing, clean water. Think about this. If states could afford healthcare and the like, wouldn't Flint, Michigan have clean water today? Wouldn't Flint have good water? Wouldn't their pipes be fixed already? If we could afford healthcare for all of Michigan, if Michigan were to pass some sort of a single payer in the state, which could never be Medicare for all because it'd be something or other for some, because it's not all, because we got 50 states, right? So it'd be a lie. But let's just say hypothetically they could come up with some state-based thing. Why the fuck don't they have their pipes fixed? Why don't they have fresh water? Why are their pensions not funded fully? Why are their schools fucked up? Hmm. Hmm. I wonder. Hmm. I wonder why Texas has a big old open for business sign on it, and Florida, all these places that have no state income tax. Come on down. No sales tax, no whatever. Come on down. We got something for you here. Delaware, no sales tax, right? These states lure businesses down there and they leave behind huge empty pockets of fucking poverty. But yeah, sure, let's burden the states with more programs. We'll raise taxes. It'll do wonderful things. Let me get back to sharing that screen again. Do you remember how many of these fools? Do you remember how many of these fools are out there talking about, hey, yeah, sure, if you believe you should be paying more, just skip the deductions. I'm sure you can find a way to give 100% of your earnings to the government and not be arrested for anything except vagrancy. Huh. I mean, Sure, let's raise taxes. I'm sure it will pass across all 50 states. I'm sure it'll be a groundswell. We'll just fund it with taxes. Sure, count on it. They'll be lined up for miles begging you to do it. Promise. All within that time frame of climate change, because see, they want to fight all these separate battles when all those same people that would be fighting all those separate battles have to come together to fight for a Green New Deal to stave off the climate crisis. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's national. There's no way to fucking fund a Green New Deal at the local level. There's not. And a Green New Deal requires Medicare for all as part of it. Medicare for all isn't the umbrella for a Green New Deal. A Green New Deal is the umbrella, and Medicare for all comes under it. That's the layer cake. Job guarantee, Medicare for all, infrastructure, education, just transition, off of fossil fuels, green energy. And no, we're not going to go to the markets for it. I mean, why the fuck is this hard to understand? It's enough to make you hate people after a little while. I try so hard not to hate people. But it's there because you want to live and you want people to get this. We've got to fight for a Green New Deal that includes Medicare for all as part of the job guarantee package, that's part of the just transition. That is, healthcare is a right, which means we need to hire lots of doctors, nurses. We got to build lots of clinics throughout the country because many places you got to drive 3 and 4 hours to get to a goddamn hospital. There's just not enough of that stuff. I swear to God, I mean, it's like, we creep the internet, man. We can go out there and look at everybody's posts. I swear to God, when you go out there in California, the California Dems, they are like this little clique. If you ever seen the movie Mean Girls, that's what it's like. They listen to Californians only. They only listen to each other. It's like this real circular thing, man. Nobody can enter into their brain space because only people there have any right to speak. It's the weirdest fucking thing ever. Never seen anything quite like it. Never seen anything quite like it. So again, we gotta each one teach one. We gotta do it quick. We can't act like we can take days off and fuck around. We can't get a case of the fuck arounds. We've got to actually fucking do this. Teach each other. Share content, find ways of getting each other to understand this. Then we've got to organize locally with each other. Find friends in your local community. Get us one of those little meetups or whatever. Help us form chapters. God damn it. Please, somebody fucking help us from ourselves. Save RP from itself, from its own inertia, from its own lack of willingness to show up and do the fucking job that needs to be done. Help me make this happen. Please, dear God, help me make it happen. Please, dear God, help me make it happen. I'm just begging you to please help me make it happen. I don't want to die. Okay, I don't want my kids to die either. I want this shit to happen. And the only way I know is to build chapters around the country to fucking teach each other and then work together. And it can't be slow. That's the problem, folks. It can't be slow. We've got to take direct action, meaning we got to be visible. We got to be going to the Federal Reserve and standing out front and saying, hey, this isn't your problem. It's Congress. Congress is your problem. It's not the Fed. The Fed's neoliberal, but they were appointed by the government. The fucking board of directors came directly from the president. Okay. The people that are there are fucking neoliberals doing neoliberal things. That's what happens. Play neoliberal games, get neoliberal prizes. That's what the Fed is. Deal with it. It's a neoliberal institution. It's become that way because the people inside of it put leftists inside the Fed, and it's going to be a very different place. Okay. You look at the World Bank, WTO, you look at the IMF, all of these things are purveyors of neoliberalism around the world. See, this problem is not just a US problem. This is the problem, trying to get people to realize the massive nature of this problem. So it's like, think globally, act locally, right? We've got to, as RP, Real Progressives, as a group of men and women across the world, actually. We're not just in the US, we're all over the fucking place. Okay. The problem is we can't get people to fucking do things in a systematic way, show up with their game face on, ready to work. It's like dragging people to the fucking finish line constantly, putting your fingers up their nose and dragging them here and dragging them there. We got to get fucking motivated. And I imagine after years of doing this shit, you feel like you've been kicked in the groin. I know I do, but I just keep getting up and fucking swinging, because I'd rather die of a heart attack, of an aneurysm fighting, than fucking be a loafer fucking kicking back and chilling and fucking letting it happen. I don't want to ever go out like that. I don't ever want to go out like a fucking beta. Don't ever let me go out with my belly up for you to sniff my ass. I'm the sniffer. I don't want to fucking be the one with my ass up fucking being sniffed. I just don't understand people that are like that. I just really have a hard time getting it. But we have a lot of betas in the world that don't fucking take initiative. And we've got to fucking take initiative. We got to. I mean, seriously, it's not hard. What I'm talking about, this is one of the most easy concepts of all time. It just requires people to think that this is as important as it really is, and then dedicate the time to do it. Have a plan. Don't suck. Make it happen. You know, we got to fucking hype up the funds. We got to hype up the fucking organizing. We got to show up with our game face on. It would be much easier. Let me just be fair. It would be much easier if those of us with careers during the day were able to make enough money doing this so that we could dedicate our everything to this. Because trust me when I say this, if I could, I would. Okay. But in the absence of that, we're left with dealing with volunteers, and volunteers are flaky. Let's be fair. I mean, you're thankful for what they give you, but that isn't enough to save the world. I'm here to save the world, period. It's selfish. I admit it. I want my kids to have a future. So selfishly, I'm fighting for that. I think big. I'm a visionary. Fuck it. I can't help it. That's where my mind lies. Okay. All this shit at the bottom, we got to work through. And that's where everybody comes together and comes up with the way we implement these things. But we've got to do it. We got to do this. See, we're fighting moneyed interest and huge fucking institutions with marble columns and freaking statues and stuff like that, man. We're talking about massive capital. The only way to pull this off is to have people who are fit and ready to fight be freed up to do exactly that, so that they can dedicate their entire existence to this. And then we need volunteers that find this more important than binge watching some shit on Netflix. That's a huge deal too. I'm telling you right now, I hear more self-care crap from people constantly. And I get it. We need self-care. We need balance. Everyone needs balance, but balance is, I did a show on this the other day. This fake balance shit is for the birds, man. Imagine this. In the movie The Day After Tomorrow, Dennis Quaid is some, scientist or whatever guy, and these guys are on a ship, and they're talking to this dude out there, and somewhere, I don't even remember where it was. I don't know, it was India or what, but he's out in the ocean, and him and his family are looking up, and there's this wall of water coming at them, and they didn't get the memo. They didn't get the memo, so they end up dying. And I just think to myself, that's us. That's us right there. We're awake. We know what's coming, and we're just going to have to stare at that wall of water while everybody else fucks off watching Netflix. And I don't know how to fix that, other than to create chapters and to create actual systems and institutions of our own to parallel against the evil, and doing it quickly. Again, IPCC said 12 years, 4 years ago. We're at the 8-year mark. We're watching it accelerate. A mass extinction is due to come. I mean, this is not hyperbole, folks. Believe me, I don't do hyperbole. I mean, I will if it gets me, a couple inches, but I try to stay in that zone of real, where it's real. How I get there is usually through throwing some haymakers to kind of get your attention, because this shit's like watching paint dry sometimes. I ain't gonna lie, I know it is. I know it's tough. But we, the people, you and I, have got to get out there and first, like I said, teach ourselves, read the material, consume some fucking information, get some facts inside of us, get some understanding, ask questions, learn the shit. Then get together with others and learn shit and bring more people in to your local area, and then connect with others. And then as we connect with others, then we start taking to the streets and targeted direct actions. As people see us be successful, more people will join in because we're continually teaching even during this. And as that influence grows, hopefully the clock is ticking slower and we're moving faster than that clock. We're running ahead of the physics clock that's going to kill us all, right? We're running, we're making shit happen. We're acting with urgency. We're not acting like, yeah, I don't feel like it. I'm just not up for it. You know, we're feeling that urgency and we're living that reality. If we can do that, if we can do that, I mean, that's a real, that's something, man. That's something. I think that this is probably the most important thing, because literally, you go into these Facebook groups, you just see the same exact bozos posting the shit like we had. And I'll keep sharing this because I want people to see I'm not making this stuff up. This is a constant thing right there. This is the kind of idiot stuff that will keep us from ever, ever getting where we need to get to. I'm not going to make excuses for it. They may be misguided. They might be really nice people. They might be really great dancers. They might even be pretty good at shuffleboard. But I know I'm not going to sit there and give any truck this, because we don't have time for that. If we had time 10 years ago, maybe it would have been different. 15 years ago, 20 years ago. But we're now staring down the other side of the hill. We're over the hill. We're coming down. If we don't fix this, we got real problems coming in. Oh, and this particular one, it doesn't really matter, actually. I mean, this right here came from AOC for President 2024. If you click on that, you can see it's full of stuff. They have, there you go. George Bedore, he probably feels like he's doing a really great thing. Probably has no idea that what he's saying isn't helping. Not in the way he thinks it is anyway. And he's raised $150 for Civics Unplugged with that bullshit right there. And look at this. The People for Democratic Socialism this is where it's coming from. Do you realize they're raising money off of this insanity? Let's see, who shared this thing? Steve Grumbine shared it, but I shared it because I was poking at it, not because I was trying to get people on it. And you notice I'm laughing at it. As long as they pass a physical test 1.5 mile or push-up, sit-ups here, I'm supportive of universal health care. This is in a lefty group here, folks. That right there. If we could just stop dropping million-dollar bombs on people for a few decades, we wouldn't have to pay higher taxes for universal health care. Got to give them a laugh. Thank you, Robin. Oh, my God. We're back to good people again. The decent people of the world, the good people, the good guys right here. Let's read what she said to him. As sole issuer of its own sovereign currency, the U.S. government doesn't need to take spending from one program in order to spend on another. Its spending isn't revenue constrained, only resource constrained. In other words, it's only limited by the amount of goods and services and labor available to buy in the USD. All federal spending is based on political decisions, not affordability. Learn how our monetary system works, 7 deadly innocent frauds. And folks, that's what I've been putting out there lately. I stopped putting other things out there simply because Warren's is so much more straightforward. It doesn't edge around. It doesn't give you the impression that you've got to be a Democrat to understand it. Unfortunately, some of the other books definitely give off that I'm a Democrat feeling. And I think that turns a lot of people off that could possibly be fellow travelers in this urgent plea to save our lives. It has nothing to do with Democrat or Republican. It has everything to do with just being a fucking human being. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at the end of the day, if we're not using our brain, you know, if we're not using our brains and we're not putting the right material out there and we're not actually staying focused, we're going to continue to fuck this thing up. You understand that, right? I mean, I'm not making this stuff up. Anyway, I'm going to go through some of your comments here. I've been trying to keep an eye on it, but I'm also trying to make sure I'm going through the other stuff. And I'm just not going to like pump on you guys. I'm just looking here. So if we leverage public spending to give everyone healthcare, housing, and higher education, who are we going to send to steal resources for us? Also, who are we going to incarcerate? Yep, there you go. I mean, ultimately, I mean, we have a problem here in this country, and it's not just in this country. That's the most important thing to remember. It's around the world. The United States and all of their IMF friends have been exporting structural adjustments, aka austerity, out of the IMF for loans. So countries like Ukraine had hooks put in them by the IMF. A lot of what you're seeing happening over there right now is a direct result of the IMF and the structural adjustments they tried to impose. Same thing down in South America. You see this in Africa. You see this all over the place. You know, I think I think I think it's important that we stop worrying about electoral politics so much. I've been saying this a lot lately, but I don't think people understand exactly how important this is. If you're going to do electoral politics, you've got to be an activist in there. You got to be the rogue strain of truth, working your way through all the pork pie hat and the flag wavers and all the ridiculous vote blue, no matter who sycophants. You've got to do that. Now, I'm telling you right now, as a former Republican and as a former Libertarian, talking to them about this stuff, as long as it's one-on-one, is a little easier. They won't necessarily buy into what you're saying, but the conversation will go easier. Unfortunately, our vote blue no matter who friends, who would probably be seen as quote unquote the left in this shithole of a country, even though they're not, they're fucking right wing. Okay, center right at least. I think they're more right than center, but whatever. They'll fight you tooth and nail on this. They really believe their taxes are funding this stuff. And they're so used to defending this. This is the progressive give up strategy. And Susan, I'm gonna give you props here. I mean, I believe we still should vote. I'm not here to say not to vote. My issue is not whether we should or shouldn't vote. My issue is how much stock we put into the outcomes. See, what I see is a bunch of distractions, a bunch of noobs that are out there thinking they're the new left, running around fist in the air in the land of hypocrisy, blah, blah, blah. And they think they've stumbled onto something. They think they got it going on because they know the Democrats are corrupt. They know the Democrats blow chunks. They know the Democrats lie. They fucking rig their elections and all this other stuff. And so they're thinking, ironically, hey, we'll just do a third party instead. But you got to realize that the way the Constitution is written and the way the laws in the books are written, Duverger's law, etc., we are literally in a first past the post country. And so electoral politics is a bit of a sham. You've got two capitalist parties that are in control right now. Neither represent us. Okay. One with better bedside manners, maybe. But honestly, they're both fascist. Neoliberalism is a part of fascism. Trust me when I say this. Neoliberalism is, in essence, proto-fascism. And when you think about that, it should really fucking make you scared. Because they're fighting over degrees, inches here, specks. Yes, they want They want these things, but the only thing they're willing to do differently is to pay more in taxes. Oh, sure, they'll door knock for candidates and stuff like that. But when it comes to learning this stuff, the most dedicated Bernie-crats, ironically, back in the day, when you would try to explain to them that their taxes didn't fund spending, they'd point to Bernie's thing and say, no, but Bernie said, but Bernie said, but Bernie said. I lifted old Bern up. I mean, Bernie's the best we got, but Bernie is doing the same shit. He's still out there peddling this taxpayer myth. Hell, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is constantly doing it, and she definitely knows the truth, but she still doesn't do it. You know? Now, I will tell you, we've got good people that are advising the squad. I know them personally, firsthand, that are writing good legislation. They're dealing in the here and now. They're political consultants. But as far as boots on the ground activists who are desperate to see change, who need something to happen, it's got to be done fucking way more intensely. If they don't feel threatened, and what I mean by threatened is not physical threats. I'm not talking about violence here by any stretch. That's not where I'm going. But if they don't feel like we're onto them and we're going to call their bluff, as Fadl Kaboub would say, if we're not really agitating and propagating and growing and expanding, and each one teach one, each one reach one, and hitting the streets and doing things in a coherent, logical fashion, putting plans together, building parallel institutions while we crush it, we don't have a chance. I mean, the movie Don't Look Up, there was just this video. I should look this up. In fact, let me see if I can find this real quick. There was another video that I put on my wall the other day. It was a pretty important one, actually. I just got to get past all my heavy metal stuff because I absolutely love this band called Archspire. If you guys have never heard it, the bass player's name is Jared Smith. Dude is a absolute rock star. But here, I'm going to go ahead. I don't know if you guys are seeing this, but I'm going to share my screen with you anyway and see if I can find, oh my God, see if I can find this video. And by the way, this week's Macro and Cheese podcast on Saturday is part 2 of this 3-part series we did on Mao. First one was the Sino-Japanese War. Second one is going to be on the Chinese Civil War. And the last one is going to be on the Cultural Revolution. So please check it out. Very much worth your time. I want to try and find this thing. It shouldn't be this hard. Should not be. There we go. There we go. So let me see if I have this set up so I can share this properly. This video right here is really freaking, yes, Drone Corps Aviator. My favorite one, I've got so many of them, but I actually like Involuntary Doppelganger, I think is probably my favorite right now. But I want to see if I can stop sharing momentarily and then reshare. Get in there and share my screen, and let's go ahead and do a Chrome tab, and let's do this video, and let's share audio. So there we go. And here, let's see what happens. See if it totally jumped, didn't it? Yep, it totally jumped. So let me change this again. I hate this. And then we'll share this screen. So silly. So silly. I hate the way this thing does this. Share screen. And share Chrome tab. And share this. And boom. So we're going to take this back.
We've spoken on this show multiple times
and let me just tell you, this is hilarious because this is exactly the way the whole "Don't Look Up" thing goes. I mean, if you think about what I'm saying, I mean, you got to realize how absolutely ridiculous our world is. I mean, this woman is trying desperately to explain to people, okay, desperately trying to explain to people
on this show.
how
But the movie became eerily similar to
much
real
danger
life just
we're
this
in
week when a
for
climate activist appeared on the
this,
UK morning
for
show
climate change.
Good
And let me
Morning
shift
Britain.
right to
So we put real life and the movie.
People would agree that we have to wean
this
ourselves
is
off
insane,
oil, but at the same time, they
here.
deeply resent having their personal lives massively interrupted.
How big is this thing? Could it like destroy someone's house? Is that possible?
I don't think any of us want to be disrupting people's lives, but I think given the science and the things that academics are saying about what oil is causing around the world and in this country too, this is the level of action that needs to be taken.
It's somewhere between 6 and 9 kilometers across. So it would damage the entire planet, not just a house.
I wonder if any of you have read the latest IPCC reports that have come out
there you go.
this year. What they have said is that we are on the road for climate catastrophe.
Well, as it's damaging, will it hit this one house in particular that's right on the coast of New Jersey? It's my ex-wife's house. I needed to be it.
We're wearing, to some extent, owe their existence to oil because they were taken in a car or a truck or a van to a shop,
I'm sorry,
see, I want you to see this, right? I mean, like literally, I mean, that right there, my friends, that is what I'm talking about. We are surrounded by this kind of ignorance, and the media is there to poison everyone. And if we're not countering that, I'm serious. If you've got children and you're not doing your best to counter that, and you by yourself can't do it alone, that's the thing. That's why we need each other. That's why we need to, it's not just do your own thing. God, I am so sick of these people that want to be the big fish in the small pond. I've been doing this for so fucking long. I need a break myself. I would love to have a team that really fucking was on fire for this, that could literally take and make this stuff happen with me and give me a chance to take a break just so I can recharge my batteries after 7 years of doing this day in, day out. We desperately need people to get this. And just so you know, here, I'm going to put this up here because I just did a video on this. Natalie, check out my video on Richard Wolff. Okay. Richard Wolff is fantastic when it comes to workplace democracy. He's fantastic about a number of things. But Richard Wolff is peddling the same fucking Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher bullshit about the taxpayer dollars. And I'm telling you right now, it's very important to understand that is not just some innocuous thing. That is not just some sort of like nothing benign tumor. That is a cancer tumor right there. And it's going fucking viral through the whole body. It's metastasizing, or whatever the fuck the word is. So many people, it's just like all the people I just showed you from that thing. When Richard Wolff said, everybody, I'm still blown away by how many chuckleheads invite Richard Wolff on to explain modern monetary theory. He didn't even know what it is. Dude does not even know what it is, but he's out there. He couldn't get macroeconomics more wrong if he tried. And it's that knowledge that makes all the programs, all the change that we need and want impossible to get to, because he's putting an unnecessary tax war ahead of everything else. It's kind of like you've got a glass of water in the desert, and if you take 5 steps and you pick up the glass of water and you drink it, you'll live. And there's a gun over here 20 paces to the right. If you can, the person that dropped you off in the desert is still within range that you can shoot them. You can get to the gun and shoot them, but if you don't get the drink of water, you're dead. And if you go to get the gun to shoot them, you won't have enough energy to get to the water to drink to survive. So the tax game is going to get the gun and fucking up not getting the water. That's the whole game. That's game, set, match. That's what this whole stream is about. As long as Richard Wolff is doing this, I don't care whether he's a good dancer. I don't care if he's a decent chess player. I don't care if he makes really swell quad venti white mochas. What I care about is he gets macroeconomics so wrong, and he's got such a huge audience that listen to this shit. We've got more work. It's not just teaching people. It's deprogramming them from the lies of their heroes. So trying to make those changes become near impossible. That's the deal. That's the problem. That's what's killing us. That's what we're up against. That's why I'm saying it's easier to talk to libertarians and Republicans, ironically, about this stuff when they hate communism and everything else than it is to talk to people that are supposedly socialists because they have a religious adherence to incorrect macroeconomics. And I'm a socialist, and I'm saying this directly to you. They don't know their ass from their elbow when it comes to economics. Marx was fantastic in his time, and he knew so many things, and so much of what he put out there is perfect. But what his understanding was not of a fiat currency. He did not understand how a fiat currency works. He did not understand Friedrich Knapp's state theory of money either. And so because all this stuff happened afterwards, we have to trust Marx on one major thing. He took the scientific method, and his scientific way of analysis is skipped by many of his adherents. They don't use the same logic and understanding how currency works in a state-driven currency. And because they don't recognize that, they end up being fundamentally unable to take action. That's a problem, isn't it? Don't you think that's a problem? I think it's a problem. I think it's a huge problem. It's a problem I'd like to solve. I'd like to help solve anyway. Because these are our brothers and sisters, our comrades. These are the people that we need to rely on. But they're being misled by their heroes. They're being misled by people like Richard Wolff. Not that Richard Wolff's bad, but if Richard Wolff had the kind of credibility I'd like to see him have, when they ask him about MMT and things like that, he should say, you know something, I'm really a microeconomist. I'm a Marxist microeconomist. If you want to know about this, you need to talk to my colleague, Stephanie Kelton, or whatever. But he doesn't do that. He instead sits there and tells you these stories and these lies. They're fucking lies, because he does know, because he has talked to Stephanie, he has talked to Paul Sliker, he's talked to a million of them. Behind the scenes, he knows it. But when you have written shit for years and years and years, and now you got to defend it, you're not going to just flip on a dime and say, oh shit, I got that wrong, didn't I? Maybe I should rewrite that book that I've made my living off of. He's not going to do that. It's unfortunate, but this is what our movement is up against. Our survival is dependent on overthrowing that myth of the taxpayer dollar, because you can't get there from here without it. So I want you all to understand that the more you want, the more you've got to change. You've got to change. Yes, you're right. All currencies are fiat. That's correct. Even if they're backed by gold or whatever, they're still fiat. They're by decree. It's exactly correct. That's what fiat means, by the way, by decree. The word sovereign means that you have control over this, that you are the god of it, so to speak, right? And if you listen to Fadl and his Fadl Kaboub, Dr. Fadl Kaboub, look him up, Global Institute for Sustainable Prosperity, also a board member at RP. But if you look up the sovereignty story, right? Countries have different layers, different levels of sovereignty. And when you have a free-floating fiat currency that's not pegged, you have the highest degree of monetary sovereignty, especially when you have energy sovereignty and you have food sovereignty, etc. Production sovereignty. You have the ability to produce goods and services. Very, very important. So there's a spectrum. In any event, we're going to do that. I'm going to do this more often. I think I'm going to go through a lot more posts and show you guys what I'm talking about, so that you can see more and more and more the things that I'm talking about, and you can put them into use. You can start seeing things for what they are. I think honestly that people sometimes think that I'm making this stuff up, or they don't see it themselves, or they don't realize how important not saying something like, I'm willing to pay more in taxes so somebody else can have healthcare. Sounds very noble, doesn't it? Fight on all fronts. Fight at the state level. Let's go ahead and state Medicare. Sounds good, doesn't it? Until you look at the timelines. Until you realize that we've got to solve a lot of problems at once, not just one in one state. We got to solve a lot of problems at once. And putting all your eggs in the basket of Idaho single payer, or Alabama single payer, or New Jersey single payer, or Massachusetts single payer, Nevada single payer, New Mexico single payer, Puerto Rico single payer, Guam single payer, Alaska single payer, Wisconsin, Michigan single payer, Minnesota single payer, Wyoming, South Dakota single payer. I mean, do you get that? Oh, Jesus Christ. Hold on. Somebody's asking when I... Give me a second. Somebody's asking me when I had Richard Wolff on. I never had Richard Wolff on. He said no to me when I asked him to come on. But that's okay. We're going to show you. You want to know when I had Richard Wolff on? Well, I didn't have Richard Wolff on. What I had was a video. And I will show you that real quickly, even though I don't want to. I'm going to. Share screen. And we're going to go ahead and share YouTube. By the way, this is our YouTube channel. But right here, this one right here is it. And so we're just going to scroll through here. Let's find Tricky Dick Wolf. Where are you at, Richie? Ah, there we go. So they decided to sell war bonds to take the heat off the economy. But it didn't fund the fucking war effort. It just stopped people from buying things during a time where we needed their focus to be on the war machine. Because we didn't have enough real resources for them to buy.
Now here comes the politics of it all. Who lends to the government? The answer is the mass of us, employees, don't. The major lenders to the government of the United States, for example, are big corporations led by banks, the insurance companies.
This guy is a fucking ass crystal.
Government. That's basically it. The mass of the working class doesn't lend to the government. Oh, now let's understand what that means. The government is spending money.
So, bottom line, I mean, Richard Wolff really doesn't know macroeconomics. And unfortunately, people put him up there like he does. What he does know, he knows really well. He knows workplace democracy, he knows co-ops. Richard Wolff could not macroecon his way out of a paper bag, though. That's the bottom line. He's got an invested interest to not tell the truth about how fiat currency works. And unfortunately, this is such an important issue that put Richard in the wrong camp. That means you got to fight Richard temporarily, or you've got to fight off the effects of Richard's wrongness, because he's creating an army of ill-informed people. Now, they know great things about co-ops. They know wonderful things about workplace democracy. But they know fuck all about how a fiat currency works or federal finance in this country. And as a result of that, many sycophants, you know, the people that think somehow or another a YouTube activist complaining about a dude with big money that's on fucking huge audience, etc. That guy, he needs defending versus an activist. You know, those fucking idiots that would attack the activist instead of the guy punching up, right? Instead of punching up at that dude who's defending bullshit, okay? They'll punch down because that's how fucking bozos operate, okay? But the truth is, I'm telling you the truth. Richard Wolff is somebody we need to win over to our side. But he's got barriers to doing that. And that is, he's got books written that have said all the wrong things. Now, let me tell you something. It's not all hope is gone, because this is a big deal. A guy named Jason Hickel, many of you guys probably have heard of him, wrote some really wonderful books. One of them is called The Divide. One of them is called Less is More. He is a big time spokesperson on the degrowth movement. Even though he laughs at the word degrowth because it's really not accurate. But Jason Hickel was one of the positive money people. Okay. He didn't know MMT, and he said a lot of really dumb things in like chapter 19, I think it was, of The Divide. Great book. One of my favorite books of all time, but one chapter that really screws the pooch. And I bet you if he wrote it again today, he would write it differently because I know him now, and he is definitely working the MMT angle. He's working with MMT scholars. The guy is starting to talk about the job guarantee, starting to really understand how the economy works. So this is a guy who's written a lot, but he had the courage to change when he found out that the stuff he said was wrong. You know what I mean? I'd like to see Richard Wolff show that same integrity and rescind some of the bullshit that he's written about federal finance. Stop talking about taxpayer dollars instead of giving Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan all the credit that he gives them, because he's parroting Reagan, whether you realize it or not. He's going full metal Margaret Thatcher with the whole taxpayer dollar bullshit. Now, I can't imagine Richard Wolff being fond of Reagan or Thatcher, but his politics and his economics, sadly, are incoherent with one another. Right? So we've got huge battles to fight. Huge battles to fight. I mean, not because I want to fight them. Shit. I want everybody on the team get it right the first time. We've all got shit to learn, right? Nobody got it all figured out. But one thing we do have to know, and this is the big deal, the big lie, and what the big lie does to each of us. And the big lie is that the government is broke. The big lie is that taxes pay for spending. The big deal is that we got to reduce the deficit. We need balanced budgets. No, we don't need fucking balanced budgets. In fact, I'm going to find another video here for you guys real quick, if you don't mind. Paul Samuelson, he's a big time Paul Samuelson. And I think he is the one that says balanced budget. Let's see if I can find the right one real quick. There we go. Found it right off the bat. So I just got to figure out. Here we go. So let's pull Paul Samuelson up there. And I'm going to share this video. Hopefully you guys find this to be useful to you. For those who don't find this useful, I'm so sorry you wasted your time. For those of you who do find it useful, good. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Let's listen to Paul Samuelson. This guy's a pretty important person in the grand scheme of things. Put my headphones on so I can hear this.
The superstition that the budget must be balanced at all times. Once it is debunked, takes away one of the bulwarks that every society must have against expenditure out of control. And one of the functions of old-fashioned religion was to scare people by sometimes what might be regarded as myths into behaving in a way that long-run civilized life requires.
See that right there? I mean, folks, this is stuff that's known. The only people that don't know it are you and I. In 1972, Richard Nixon took us off of the gold standard, took us off the Bretton Woods Accord, took away the ability to exchange dollars for gold, to trade back and forth, the redemption, force redeem dollar for gold. Okay. It was in that time period. Took a few years for it to really happen because they didn't fully get what they had going because the oil crisis and OPEC and all that stuff. But in short order, right around 76 to 80, It started the income inequality started doing this, and then at like guess it was like 1982 because it didn't start right in 1980. I think it was like 1982. All of a sudden, the yield curve or the curve for income inequality, regular people were down here, and all of a sudden the wealthy went like this, and it just like almost like a vertical line. Okay, almost like a vertical line because they understood how a fiat currency worked. And so they were using this learning that they had during World War II to fund the war machine. They were learning how to fund the rich. And so this is when Reagan started getting rid of unions and started busting unions and started telling the lie that there is no such thing as public money. There's only taxpayer dollars. Okay. And that's where you hear the only problem with socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money. Right. But what if money is a creature of the state? What if money comes from the state, not from your labor theory of value or something like that? What if money comes from the state, which it does? See, Marx didn't account for that. Marx didn't account for that. So we've got to get Marxists to understand how fiat currency works also. It's not just Republicans, bad GOP. We've got our own friendlies that don't understand this shit either. And worse, they know that the minute they admit they don't know something, it's going to knock them down from their perch. And what do you think is more important, knowledge or being on the perch? Think about it. I assure you, it's being on the perch. I assure you, being on the perch is the most important thing to them. And that's what we're up against. We're up against egos. We're up against people wanting to be smart. They want to feel like they're the one that is in charge. They want to feel like they're the one that has the answers. And so admitting that they've been lied to about economics for all these years is a hard fucking thing for them to swallow. That doesn't mean we take our foot off the gas pedal. That doesn't mean we pull our punches. No, we throw the haymaker. We throw the haymaker not because we want to hurt anyone, but because we know, just like with almost any kind of real change that's ever happened in your life or mine, you got to hit rock bottom before you bounce back up. It sucks. Look at recovery. Look at alcoholics. Alcoholics don't recover until they realize that there's no hope in drinking. When they finally realize that this fucking thing is going to kill them, they make a change. But only then, because they have it in their head that there's got to be another way to work through it. The disease takes over. And the disease of thinking you understand the world is freaking destabilizing. It's like vertigo. What? Oh my God. You mean I've been fighting this tax battle for the last 40 years and it was just really delaying our ability to get any of these things done? Yes. Now you're onto it. Now you're figuring it out. By the way, there's a lot of good sources. Thank you. Here, I'm gonna talk to you about that real quick. So what is a good source of info for MMT? I mean, obviously this channel is, but to be honest, we talk more about the need to talk about MMT. Well, that's because that's what this show is tonight. Let me show you what I really do so you understand why this is kind of fun. And that's why it's called Going Rogue, Steve Creeping the Internet. It's not really what I talk about. This is what I talk about to you in activism, but I actually do a lot of really important shit. I'm going to show you this. So give me a second. I am going to bring her on up. And hopefully this is of some use to you guys. I think it is. But I'll show you real quick. So if you go to realprogressives.org, let's make sure we're showing. Yeah, we're showing it. Good stuff. Okay. You come over here to media. Well, let's go ahead and refresh because for whatever reason, there we go. Under media, We got a lot of different things here. We got MMT Mondays, which lots of really good speeches done with a little bit of intro. We got my Rogue Scholar, but we also have this Macro and Cheese podcast. And we're going to accept. There I am. And it's all over the place. And so some of these things are history, like my work on the Mao. Some of these things are with Rowan Gray, for example, who's actually working with the squad on this eCash Act. I've even had folks that are in the investment community, although it's not my thing. I don't really believe in private property, but here we go, talking to them about things. Because, at the end of the day, until we can have our revolution, we got to work with what we got. And sometimes you got to make some practical decisions. Okay. But we're going to go ahead and drop this down so you can see all of them. And so here's interview on MMT Finding Mosler with Phil Armstrong. We've got a thing on bullshit jobs with Eric Dean, the intersection of Marx and MMT with One Dime. We have an MMT economist talking about Ukraine and the neoliberal project. We had Yeva Narcissian challenging critiques of MMT. We have an Indian economist, Ruchira Sen, talking about agitating out of poverty in India. We have examining China with an MMT lens with Yen Ling. We have everything you heard about China is wrong with Vincent Huang. We have foundations of MMT with Warren Mosler. We have donuts with Stephen Hale, duality with Bill Mitchell. I mean, all these things, if I come back here and I just go back a page instead of doing it this way, you can see all the pretty images. We have people of color, we have women, we have men, we have people from around the world. In fact, tomorrow I'll be interviewing an economist from Iceland. And then on Monday, I'll be talking to someone from Pakistan. But as you see, I don't leave any stone unturned. This is the dense stuff. What I'm talking about here is trying to get you to pay attention to these podcasts. So, I mean, this right here is incredible stuff. The new economics, sustainability with ecological economist Phil Lawn and author Stephen Williams. We have Spain right here. This is MMT in Spain. We have understanding inflation. We have the blockchain socialists coming and talking. I mean, like, I've got a lot, man, guys. I've really gone crazy. We talk about 9/11. This right here, this ivory tower one's very important. This one here by DeVarian Baldwin is about how the university system has infiltrated communities and basically sucked up the resources. And then I had anarchist Michael Albert, participatory economics, come on. Didn't agree with everything, but it was neat. Got a cartologist and Parag Khanna come on talking about mapping climate change, basically. MMT Europe. We had to talk about Evergrande in China with Bob Hockett from Cornell Law. I mean, folks, this is what I do most of the time. This podcast right here is fun. Things that should not be is talking about Social Security, Medicaid, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of crazy things that we've been misled on. This is a great pod. Jamie Skillen, this was a fantastic one too, talking about how our public parks are being sold off to the highest bidder because of the need for privatization, which is neoliberalism. Rana is Fadl's wife, and she was running for the school board. So we took a look at racism and so forth in MMT at the local level, because there is no right to an education, by the way, in this country. I don't know if you know that. But we have Australia here. I got Steve Keen, the renegade, and Victor Klein. Both of them are the new liberals in Australia. John Harvey. Look at that. The president or the chairman of the House Budget Committee, John Yarmouth, and his son, Aaron. So I don't know if anybody ever pays attention. Oh, look there. I'm talking to Jason Hickel. Here I'm talking to MMT Scotland. Yeah, there's Jordan. Here's Bob Hockett again talking about the infrastructure bill. Here's union person Marianne Garneau talking about organizing for power. I do it quite a bit. I just don't think most people listen to me for some reason. I don't know why y'all don't listen to me, but I talk about everything from the Russian Revolution, the Haitian Revolution, the freaking corruption that brought the global financial crisis on. I mean, guys, look at this stuff. This is what I do. And most people don't have a fucking clue. You don't ever hear Joy Bree Gray saying, hey, we got to have Grumbine on. Look at what he does. You don't hear those people do that. Why is that? I don't know. Fuck it. You know, I work my ass off and they don't think I'm worth anything, but that's okay. I'll just keep doing it until somebody pays attention. But there's Randy Ray, the fucking one of the godfathers of MMT. I mean, just author Cory Doctorow. We got degrowth. Here's Bill Black, the guy that brought down the Keating Five, and Fadl Kaboub talking about the race to the bottom. We got interest rates and inflation with Warren Mosler. We got Lorenz Kaiser talking about degrowth. And look, crypto, UBI, what Marx got wrong. I mean, this right here is about labor theory of value with Steve Keen. I mean, look, if you notice, going all the way to the top, I've got hundreds of podcasts, hundreds. It's time for people to listen. Seriously. I mean, I hate that I have to do these kinds of live streams to get people to even recognize our channel half the time. They'll go out there and look at some clickbait thing in an instant. So you got to give them some clickbait, unfortunately. Hopefully I'm able to walk you through some stuff while we're clicking and baiting. But the reality is I spend most of my time interviewing the best and brightest from around the entire globe. And I'm hoping you guys will check that out. Now, I've been live now for over 2 hours. I don't do this. I'm serious. I don't do this. But it's fun, I guess, to come up at night and kind of talk about some of these things. I mean, I really think it's important that you guys understand. If you go to our website, and I'm going to bring it back up for just a second, come in here and check out Macro and Cheese. Okay? This is really important. I'm really trying so hard. Folks, I have a kid with autism. I mean, not that this matters. I just want you to understand that I am fighting through challenges. I've got a debilitating illness with horrible arthritis. Like, all this is hard work. Now, I'm not constantly saying, donate, donate, donate. I mean, yes, donate, please. But what I am saying to you is I care so much more that you learn this stuff. I care so. Thank you so much, Jay. I'm so sorry I couldn't have done my Let's Get Ready to Grumble. I tried so many times to do some of this stuff, and you know, I just feel really bad. I felt awful because I never cancel, but I couldn't do it today. Anyway, I just want you guys to know realprogressives.org. We have got so much. Oh, you know what? Let me show you more. I'm so sorry. Let me show you a little bit more here before we get off this page. I'm going to take you out of the Macro and Cheese podcast. I'm going to take you back to our home. And if you look in here, we've got our latest podcast on the front page. So you can just go right to the front page and see them all. Look at that. This is right here is 168. Saturday, we release every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern time. It'll be 169, and our 170th we'll finish out the Mao era, and then we'll be back into Iceland shortly thereafter. But if you look under here for MMT Basics, we've got basics, we got international resources, and we got this thing called the race to the bottom. Now, I want you to see this. I've talked about this before, but I hope that this will help you guys. This is really, to me, something that I want to spend the rest of my life doing. This part right here in particular is what I want to focus my life on, is this race to the bottom. Because people that are good people that think states can do things don't understand. They don't understand this. And I want you to see this. This race to the bottom is crucial. You can hover over these states. And what we did was we put in what they call the CAFR, comprehensive annual financial reports. And so if you hover over a state, gives you some stats like population of 5,000, whatever, homeless population. It gives you pensions funded. 79% of the pensions are funded. And they have a rainy day fund of 17.6 days. But you look down here at Arkansas, they've only got a rainy day fund of 11.7 days. look at up here. South Dakota's got 100% funded pensions, and they've got almost 40 days of rainy day fund. But if you come over here to California, look at that. Homeless population of 151,000. 71% of their pension is funded. Okay. They've got 39.3 days. But if you go under here, unfunded federal mandates nightmare. Okay. Now look at this. See if it will, did it flip with me? Nope, it stayed there. So let me unshare and reshare. Stop screen, share. And go to the Chrome tab and unfunded mandates. Here we go. So you look at this unfunded federal mandates, California's budgeting nightmare. This is back in 2010, okay? But it hasn't changed. Ultimately, Congress addressed the issue with unfunded mandates reform act sponsored by, ironically, Republican Senator Kempthorne, whatever, signed by President Clinton, okay? But ultimately, state and local and tribal governments, that Congress had been imposing all these different bills that they had to pay for locally. They're saying in this 2010 today, the state of California spends over $12 billion a year to comply with unfunded federal mandates alone. Look at this. This is 2010. Now, mind you, these are not things that are not important. The Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, Homeland Security Act, the Individuals with Disability Act, No Child Left Behind, blah, 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 tens of thousands of regulations imposed on our state and local governments by our representatives in Washington, D.C. More than 12% of California's state budget goes towards paying for compliance with unfunded or underfunded mandates. Now, I want you to understand that Medicare for All should not be funded at the state level. States cannot handle this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And if you understand that, if you understand the pressure put on there by the federal government, who is the currency issuer, the federal government could fully fund California. It could fully fund New York. It could fully fund Washington. It could fully fund Florida. It could fully fund Texas. It never has to push unfunded mandates down, but it does for a variety of reasons. Some of them are worthwhile. Because really, at the end of the day, taxes, even though they don't fund spending at the federal level, taxes are a way of engineering society. It's called Pigovian taxes or sin taxes. And you tax the bads and untax the goods, right? And one of the funny things about this is, what happens if you tax a corporation? Think about this for a minute. If you tax a corporation, what happens? Do you think the corporation ends up with less money, less profit? What ends up happening with corporations when we tax them is, number one, they go looking for a low-cost place to go set up their headquarters so they don't have to deal with your tax. So they leave. But let's just say, hypothetically, they didn't leave. Let's just say they stayed put. If they stayed put, they would simply raise prices because they're going to pass the cost of doing business on to you and I. So Professor Randall Wray, who I showed you before, will tell you point blank he's in favor of zero corporate taxes. But what he favors is taxing the bejesus out of the C-suite, taxing the bejesus out of stock options and unearned revenue. Okay? Now, I'm sure there are ways to getting around this, and I'm sure there's other regulatory issues, but we don't trust bust anymore. We're not anti-monopoly anymore. We allow gouging to happen at every level. There's no audit. There's no enforcement. There's no nothing. The only people that are enforced in any way, shape, or form are you and I, the little people. So every time you hear them talking about we're going to tax corporations, just know that that is a pass-through to you and I. They're not going to pay anything for it. They're going to still keep growing. We actually had Mark Cuban on with Pavlina Chernova. You can check it out on our check it out somewhere. It's on our YouTube channel. Mark Cuban said, I don't care if you raise taxes on me, I'm still going to make more money, because ultimately it's just going to pass those costs on. I mean, think about that. Think about that for a minute. How many of your favorite politicians are out there saying we got to tax the shit out of corporations? But they won't tax the shit out of the C-suite. They won't tax the shit out of stock options. They won't tax the shit or block stock buybacks. They won't do any of the things that would actually help us. Instead, they just say, we're going to make corporations pay their fair share. Well, that is code for you and I paying for it, because those costs will just be fucking passed on. Jesus Christ, folks, learn some basic econ, right? I mean, that's what you want to tell them. But you'll probably repeat it, parrot it back, because that's what Bernie said, or that's what so-and-so said, or whatever. And very unfortunate, right? Very, very fucking unfortunate. Because if you say don't tax corporations, people don't understand. So they immediately revert back to that red-blue bullshit. They don't know how to have an economics conversation, so they just attack you, not understanding. Folks, I'm as left as you're going to get. I don't believe in private property. So let me just take it a step further. When I say private property, I'm not talking about you having a house or having, your own clothes and your own cars. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the public space, the means of production. I'm talking about that should be a public thing. I think we should have public energy. I think we should have a public internet. I think we should have public parks. I think corporations and stuff like that serve the needs of the people should be public. I think that all research and development should be public. Doesn't change how that people are going to get paid. The individuals are going to still get paid. The difference is that there's not a profit motive anymore. The difference is the goal is not to make money. The goal is to make lives better, right? Because the federal government neither has nor doesn't have dollars. It spends dollars into existence. So it doesn't need to make a profit. Whatever it needs to pay a salary at the government level, it can pay that salary. This is why when people say no more government jobs, I just want to smack them. I just want to drop the elbow on them. So, hey, Bijou, let me ask you a question in there, right? When you talk about it, when you talk about taxes at the corporate level, and you hear Randy Ray say that corporate taxes are simply going to be a pass-through to the consumer, how would you frame that? I mean, you're a pretty smart guy. You have the best comments I've ever seen in all of our YouTube videos. Think about how would you say that? No, I'm not going to challenge Hinkle to a debate. There's no point at it. There's no point in doing it. I mean, I mean, he knows where I am. They don't pay attention to this stuff. They don't care about this stuff. That's not their MO. They don't really care. Most of the stuff I see is a lot of gotcha. But I'm happy to talk to anybody about MMT. That's the fact. So anyway, it is super late now. It's almost 1 a.m. and I do work in the morning, and I've got to get up bright and early. But man, once I got rolling, I just couldn't stop. It was so much fun. I'm sorry. There's no real theme to this. It's just sort of like talking, right? Just sort of having fun. I wish there was a way I could bring you guys up into the thing and just sort of bring people on from the audience. And I probably could if I trusted more, but I think that I think that it would be kind of fun to be able to bring people up and have talks. This thing I have over here, I have what they call a Rodecaster Pro. You can't really see it. Maybe you can. Maybe if I turn this, hold on. It's kind of a disaster, but that's my Rodecaster Pro over there. And let me bring it on back. Hopefully I didn't screw my camera up too much now. Am I all out of focus? No, I'm okay. But anyway, my Rodecaster Pro has a thing that I can hook up my phone to it and take calls through it if I wanted to. And so I think it'd be a lot of fun. Look into calling. Yeah, I might try and do that too. Anyway, I think that it would be very interesting to be able to have people come on and do this stuff. I just don't know how often I can do this, because I'm usually freaking just absolutely maniacally, insanely tired. And I have this need to listen to some really cool music. And I want to turn you guys on to something real quick. Probably not your cup of tea at 1 o'clock in the morning, but because I have this need to show you, I'm going to do it anyway. I think that this guy, Jared Smith, is just a beast. There we go. Jared Smith bass playthrough. And for those of you who are willing to stick around for this momentarily, this is going to be my going out here. So just give me a second. I think you'll enjoy this. I hope you'll enjoy this. I'll enjoy this. Stop screen. Let's start sharing. Your screen. I'll probably be too tired, but it's nothing that a cup of coffee can't fix. This guy right here is, to me, the best bass player in the world. I just got to figure out which one do I want to do here. Is this the hardest one? Where are you, man? So many things. Let's just do Drone Corps Aviator here.
Hi, I'm Jared Smith from Archspire, and I'm going to be playing Drone Corps Aviator from our new album, Lead the Future, on my brand new Dingwall Z3 bass.
This is the kind of shit I get off on, guys. So sorry. See, I love excellence. Look at this motherfucker on the bass. This is what I do in my spare time, is listen to this. Fingers, man, finger picking. I love it. A little bit of tapping, a little arpeggio action there. Best bass player in the world. Make Geddy Lee look like he's a JV. I'm telling you. Make Les Claypool even feel bad. Oh, God. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that fucking amazing? Here we go. Get ready, guys. He's going to start to amaze you any second. Any second now, your mind's about to be blown. Come on, Jared. Bring it through, brother. God, I love this. I got goosebumps, folks. I don't know if you guys get I have like hair standing on end. Bam. Beautiful. Sorry. I absolutely, Archspire, folks. This is tech metal all the way. It is like, it's a genre. It takes a minute. The guy that's screaming there is using a form of extreme vocals where it's like an inhale as opposed to an exhale. And he's like, they're usually between 350 beats a minute and 400 beats a minute. I want you to think about that for a second. Now, the other one, if you guys are vibing with me at all, my favorite band in the world is Meshuggah. Meshuggah just put out an album called Immutable. It is absolutely the baddest thing you've ever heard in your life. I mean, we're talking about phenomenal. So when you get a chance, check out the new Archspire and check out Meshuggah. And with that, there's another guy named Yogev who has this thing coming up called Meshuggah. as soon as May hits, he's going to be doing all the Immutable songs from the new album. And what he does is he counts every beat and he shows you the structures of every one of them. It is fucking amazing. I'm sorry, I'm nerdy like that, but that's the way it's got to be. If you want to learn, you want to grow, you got to stretch into new things. And I'm telling you right now, MMT will help you understand the world. It's a lens. And once you understand that lens and you start viewing everything through it, it will fundamentally change every discussion you have. It will fundamentally change the fights you have with Republicans. It'll change the fights you have with Democrats. It'll change the fights you have with your own family at the dinner table. Trust me, I know. Anyway, with that, guys and gals, I am going to break off here because it is super late and I'm going to find my clip. I haven't done this at this time of night in a while, but Steve Grumbine, the Rogue Scholar. Check us out, Macro and Cheese, Saturday morning. Also, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at noon, I try and do a Rogue Scholar stream during my lunch break. So please check me out. And of course, go over to Status Quo. I'm on Tuesday nights with Jordan. He and I co-host on Tuesdays. And then when I'm not fucking up, Thursday nights, I have my own show over there at Status Quo called Let's Get Ready to Grumble. And with that, I'm out of here.